Hey, good morning guys, it's your friendly neighborhood Spider Keith here, back with another video, and for today's topic we will still be taking a closer look at the Storm Collectibles Chun Li figure. I did mention on my ASMR unboxing that I won't be doing that much commentary on that video, which I did not. So for this one, we're gonna take the ASMR aside and do a proper review with full-on commentary this time around. Here's taking a closer look at the box. Here are the accessories. We have about 5 pairs of interchangeable hands, a pair of karate chops, and some few relaxed hands. She also has 3 interchangeable faces, 1 screaming face, 1 relaxed smiling face, and the other more serious game face. It surprised me to discover that the hands have an elastic property when you try to bend it, similar to her hairs, which on a tangent are interchangeable with the 3 other faces. They're a constant reminder that this figure as a whole is not your typical $20 Marvel Legends figure. But going back to the hand's elasticity, in fact, her chest area is also made of the similar rubbery type, which makes this figure feel like a scaled down Madame Tussauds statue, plus the added bonus of it being an articulated figure. So that's a huge compliment to Storm Collectibles, if there's any. But of course, she's not entirely waxed up in silicone, alright? She's still an action figure by all means, and she's also actually made of a hard plastic where it's needed, like her arms, legs, and her face. The lower part of her skirt does not pose any threat to her articulation at all. In fact, it complements her to do more dynamic poses, such as her spinning bird kick and the 1,000 kicks per second move, which I forgot the actual name for it, apologies. Anyway, along with her skirt, she also comes with this dangling piece on her torso, which I'm thoroughly impressed that it's sculpted there separately, similar to her wrist gauntlets, which are conveniently quite removable as well, if that's your thing. And as big a fan as I am with the separately sculpted pieces, I don't support Storm Collectibles' idea of going extra and doing the same thing with Chun Li's pigtails. These could have been just an entire piece together with her face, but unfortunately Storm had other ideas, so now there's a risk of losing the pigtails if you're not careful enough. To me, I decided to just put PVC Elmer's glue so that it doesn't fall off that much. It doesn't do that much damage to the figure. I mean, it's washable, so no, it doesn't actually really do any damage at all. As for the overall aesthetic of her face, and I've already mentioned this on my previous videos, on that particular Chun Li video alone, the one preceding this, of course. But yeah, the point is, this Chun Li figure in particular vaguely reminds me of Dasha Taran, along with her two other faces. They all actually remind me of Dasha Taran. And I think it's in the way her makeup was done so similarly to the famous YouTube vlogger. But that's as far as it goes in terms of similarities, because Chun Li here is built like a tank. And what I mean by that is her legs are extra thick ASF. And yeah, I think that's how you pronounce the word thick, the one that's spelled THICC. But yeah, going back, I used to think that the Marvel Legends legs of Rogue here was thick enough, but quite evidently not until I got this figure on my roster. So now, Chun Li just throws off Rogue out of the question. I'm just really impressed with how the legs turned out, because I think they're the most important factor in making a Chun Li figure work. The cuts of her legs, of her leg muscles rather, are visible but not overly imposing. They even included to sculpt her calf muscles, which are quite impressive, along with the cheeks on her upper legs. You know what I mean! By the way, I'm having second thoughts on whether I should cover this portion of the video or not, but for what it's worth, she comes with standard points you would expect for a 6 to 7 inch figure. She has a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, wrist swivel. Her arms can go that far up horizontally. She can rotate them a full 360 degrees. She has butterfly joints. She has an upper and lower diaphragm joint. The lower is this one. It's right underneath this lower skirt. Which to me, I would have just settled for just one. Her head can go that far down below and that far up, but only if you remove her hair, of course. She can do a near 180 degree split sideways. She can kick that far up and that far back. Double jointed knees, toes articulation, and of course she has that revolutionary ankle hinge. As much as this figure is great and all, I actually have issues in terms of the type of plastic used for her upper body. I mean, I did mention that the soft rubbery material as a plus factor, but some major concerns do spring up, such as 1. What happens then if over time the silicone dries up and wears off? And number 2, the lack of substitute custom materials for when such a thing does happen. But I'd like to think that's just my paranoia kicking in and not much else. And should such a thing unfortunately happen, then hopefully we're seeing quite far into the future. Far enough for Storm Collectibles to issue a better Chun Li figure that we wouldn't have to mind whatever happens with this one. For comparison's sake, here is Chun Li next to her 7-inch counterparts. We have the Marvel Select Thor, minus his original Mjolnir accessory. And we have the McFarlane Toys Gal Gadot Wonder Woman. Here she is side by side with the 6-inch Marvel Legends figures. We have the Retrowave Spider-Man, my custom Mary Jane Venom, the Retrowave Black Cat, and of course, the aforementioned Rogue. Overall rating, I'm giving this Storm Collectibles figure a solid 9.9 over 10. It's the highest rating I've given so far on any figure because of the fact that it exceeded my expectations on what the 1/12th figure should be. Typically, Hasbro does tend to saturate, or actually the more relevant term would be oversaturate. Hasbro tends to oversaturate the market with figures using similar body parts on different characters, most especially for its Marvel Legends line. So it's a breath of fresh air to have a figure with a sense of autonomy from it all. Although I do admit that that's an unfair comparison to make, but I guess what I'm really trying to say is I'm glad to have a non-Marvel Legends figure with a reputation that precedes it. In other words, I've heard good things about this figure and it did not disappoint. So yeah, my rating is 9.9. Well deserved, Storm Collectibles. And that's all we have left for this review. If you guys appreciate my content, kindly do hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future videos. Again, this is Spider Keith, your friendly neighborhood Spider Keith. Thank you and God bless.